It is Monday, November 17th. Hope you had a good weekend. It's snowing in the mountains. It's raining around much of the state, but not as aggressively in Southern California. There are still flood watches and such in advice or in effect, but it's not the same fire hose scenario that we saw last couple days, where they saw, heck, over parts of California saw over a foot of rain over that course of this weather system, and that's like Santa Barbara, Malibu, places like that. Heavy rainfall, and now the rain that comes is going to add to problems. But instead of half foot of rain in the Southern California burn scars, you're going to see an inch or two, and which is fine. I mean, it's a lot of rain, and it's ground saturated, and there will be more slipping, and there'll be more issues, but nothing. I think it's amazing, quite frankly, that area did that well for that much rain. Santa Barbara had like 10 inches of rain up in the hills, up by Gibraltar there. If you put 10 inches of rain in the Bay Area in that same amount of time, you're going to have some problems, most definitely. It'll drain eventually, but you're going to have street flooding and, San Francisco issues like we always do, and you're going to start seeing the hills start to slip a little bit. So today we're going to look at snow in the mountains. This is Heavenly Valley. It's showing 9 inches if you buy it, and I kind of do, because it's a live camera shot. Because as you look at the trees, that's stacked up there pretty good. It is colder, obviously. Temperatures have dropped. It is snowing on the passes right now. There looks like they're chaining up on parts of the 80. So let's take a look here. This is 80 at Soda Springs, and you can see less in traffic. If anything, at least down by Truckee, they're screening for chains and slowing cars down, but it kind of almost looks like they're chaining up. It's going to be on and off all day today, but the snow is happening for the mountains, which is awesome because that's what you want from these systems. This is rain, this is precipitation that falls that doesn't just flow away, right? The rain, all that rain we got the last 3 or 4 days, most of that is down in the in the rivers and goes out and can't be held by the reservoirs. Some of it can, but they're careful because they're still getting ready for a big winter ahead, hopefully. So the snow is what you want. You understand that. And then we've got the ocean, which there's no high surf advisory right now. This is Santa Cruz. This is on that side of town by the lighthouse where the road is slipped away. That's the caissons in the black there. That's Mitchell's Cove. And it's windy. We got wind advisories around the state. We've got conditions that they're going to get better, but we're going to stay in this pattern of unsettled weather. So let's go here. And by the way, good morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Kind of on and off weekend. Not bad though. It was nice to get the rain, certainly. Really was worried a lot about Southern California. And the models did a good job predicting how much rain we would get. Remember we talked about that on Wednesday and Thursday last week. But I was worried, and you're still a little worried, but not as bad because they made it through some pretty significant rainfall. Here is, I'll put a loop around this, but here is, I'm just going to make a little arrow, and then here is Point Conception. I know this map's tough to read. So you see the moisture kind of coming. It's actually, a lot of this moisture is looping underneath California and coming in a little bit towards the desert southwest. So this is the cold air. You can see that. That's why it's starting to snow. The snow levels will drop as this cold air infiltrates inland. We get a little bit of a break tomorrow as that ridge noses in, and then we'll get this system that comes in kind of on Wednesday into Thursday, a little bit into Friday. And you'll see all that. I got the models all stacked up for you. So we're going the right way. It's winter. And remember, we talked about this last week too. I said, hey, it's going to feel like winter finally. Because one of my favorite professors of all time, Orman Granger, spelled Granger, climatologist, he used to tell me, he goes, Bill, people have really short weather memories. I go, no, we don't. And he goes, well, what was the weather like Tuesday? Which in that day, on the day that was Thursday, so it's 2 days ago. And unless it's summer, right? Fog, sun. But we don't. It's true. We have really short weather memories, and maybe that's how I got away with being a TV meteorologist for so long. People can't. I mean, people. You just can't. People don't really remember what happened, and they don't. Truthfully, they don't always remember what you said, which is much to my chagrin. But it's just the nature of us. So this is the rain right now. The scattered showers, the mountains are getting a good dose of it right now. They're going to see 1.5 feet of snow up around Lake Tahoe by tonight, and then it's going to kind of keep going. They're going to get this. The next story you hear will be skiing on Thanksgiving, which is always the story. It's going to be cold enough to make snow and so forth. And Point Conception continuing to grab onto rain. Bay Area getting some scattered showers right now. These are some of the watches. The brown is the wind advisory, which is expected, and then a little bit of a flood watch for the next few hours up around Santa Barbara. Then on the slopes, the foothills from around Fresno down to the Tehachapi's, you've got flood watches, and then you've got a winter weather watch, which they could extend that into a winter storm warning. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, just because that system's kind of moving in there right now. So we'll keep an eye on it. But this is all kind of winter that we're able to manage. This is the California Nevada River Forecast Center rainfall. I put in the dots because I can do the rain totals, but it's so many numbers. So you can see, first of all, the colors. Where's the most rain? So the purple represents up over 1.5 inches of rain. The red up in the foothills here represents about an inch, about 1.5 inches of rain as well. I wonder why it's the same. 1.5 inches. 245. Yeah, purples are higher than that. But you can see where the big range are. This is the last 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, we've seen significant rainfall, more focused on the north coast, north of Point Conception, as opposed to prior to that, the 24 hours, on Saturday and Sunday, it was all focused down here. Now, there was rain. Like if I hover over here, 1/2 inch of rain, Malibu, 1/2 inch of rain, down towards San Diego, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. So these areas got more typical rainfall, more of a typical, that sort of cooler air came in from the north, sweeping through as sort of as a cold front, and not as an atmospheric river component kind of a thing. And so the showers have died down here. So I don't know. I think I kind of like the numbers better. Let's try this. Let's see. I'll do the dots. Oh, now I'm in trouble. This is what I used to not do with you guys, but you guys are all cool about it. Like what I mean by that is I used to if I slipped up and I got out of sequence, I wouldn't move the pages because I know it's annoying. But I do that now because you guys are friends. In other words, I don't start over again. These are the numbers. So I guess so that's, and you can see the areas of the heaviest rainfall right along the coast, and then Southern California. There was rain. This is the last 24 hours. They got rain. You guys got rain, but that's manageable. It's still a lot of rain for Southern California, but it's manageable. Okay. All right, maybe I stick with the numbers. The dots are just a little bit weird. Oh, I wanted to show you too, was up here around this zone. This zone I've been paying more attention to because I used to not. I just didn't do this. I was always Bay Area forecasting in California, certainly, but I was more centered on the 9 Bay Area counties. But this area up here out of Redding, boy, where they built the reservoir, the rainfall in 24 hours. I mean, those are significant rainfall. And that's that thing we were talking about, sort of that lens where the south winds come in. It's orographics, for sure, and just funnels right in here. Because you've driven up 5. You know what it looks like. It's a lens, and so it focuses on the rain. So if you look, it's kind of like the Mount Tam of the north part of the state. Because if you go here, like, okay, so here's a 268 in total, almost, here's 4 inches. Oh, and you go over here to the other side of town, up in the hills outside of Redding, it's less than an inch, right? So that's really interesting. And again, that's our graphics for sure. And you guys know that. If you live up there, you're like, Bill, where you been, dude? Where you been? We do get tons of rain. I know you do, but I just never noticed the disparities. And then again, these are 24-hour rainfall totals. And I put some contours in underneath it. So let's take pictures. This is up at Wairika, 53 degrees today. Wairika on the backside of the rain, just getting about 1.5 inches over the last 24 hours. Isn't that beautiful? That's a beautiful valley. And that's that valley. That's the landslide valley from Mount Shasta. You just can't see Shasta because of the cloud cover. This is one of my favorite parts of the state. This is my mom's favorite part of the state too. Was that by Fall River, kind of MacArthur. 50 degrees, got an inch of rain. And we got, yeah, beautiful. I love the way the valley fog sort of it tries to maintain itself. That's beautiful. That's really, that's my mom's favorite part of the state. And then this is, where are we? Oh, we're up in Paradise. Yeah, this is up behind my house. We used to get a lot of rain up there. This is up at Sawmill Peak, looking down towards Chico. Paradise is right in the foreground, but that's another example. It faces not quite as south, but it's essentially perpendicular to the flow. So Sawmill Peak, where the lookout tower is, where this camera is in a position where it grabs onto that moisture. That's Paradise, and then you see the moisture. And Paradise did get some rain. They got over 2 inches, which is pretty typical. We used to get a lot of rain up there. 53 degrees today for a forecast high in Paradise. This is Cambria, which is down by San Simeon. And you see the cows moving. You see the rain coming. It's nice to see rain, isn't it? So, especially rain like this. I guess that's manageable rainfall. And again, Cambria, north of the point, so it's not under the big aggressive rainfall that we'd seen over the weekend. This is Fresno County. And the clouds coming in. Tell me if you like these as much as I do. Again, you can scrub through to get to the models, but I just love this is our state. This is where we live. The place is awesome, and we tend to forget it. I live in one part of the state. You live in another part of the state. And you forget about Fresno, and you forget about Cambria, and you forget about Wairika, and you forget about Alturas, and you forget about Humboldt, and you forget about Cayman, and you're just like, oh my God, what a ridiculous amount of geographic wealth we have in this state. And I don't know. That's what I do. I do this anyway. This is Santa Barbara. They got a lot of rain, man. They got a lot. I'm impressed that they didn't have problems in that Montecito area. I mean, they've done a good job cleaning out those rivers. So I guess that's the highway, yeah. And it's raining, but not as aggressively. Not 8 inches. And they got over a foot of rain up there over the course of this thing. And then this is Malibu up in the hills. It's down at Wilshire Boulevard, and you see that faces south, so they got a lot of rain. That's on your way to Santa Barbara, right? Just underneath the point. Okay. And then this is a place I've never been. I've never actually been there. That's Rancho Santa Fe. 65 degrees today. This is kind of outside of San Diego, just up behind the hill. And you're getting ready because you're going to get more rain. Some more scattered showers today, probably in San Diego, light scattered showers. And then you get back into it again as we go to Thursday and Friday, and you'll see. That flood advisory gets dropped pretty soon for this area. The wind advisory sticks around. This is out of LA. This is moderate snow today through tomorrow, winter weather watch, if you will, or winter weather advisory. And snow levels, I think they got them a little high. They're calling them 5 to 6. Yeah, I guess 5 to 6 makes sense. Sure, 5 to 6. Okay, these are the forecast highs for today, or the highs from today, which is, okay, that's winter. You can see, first of all, not a subtropical air mass anymore. Yesterday and the day before, I'd rolled this map, and you'd be looking at mid-60s, low 60s. That's indicative this time of year, certainly when it's cloudy, of a subtropical air mass, a pineapple connection, if you will. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer, but not much. That's our little break day, and then we get back into it. So here are the models, and this is the system we're watching right now. This is us, this loop around us, but you can see this low drops down. And this is this is this afternoon. And what you'll know is you go, well, that looks pretty juicy. And it kind of does, but the strongest dynamics are moving down and being pushed further south. So when I move this, you'll see this low drop further down, see? So the dynamics move out of the area pretty quick. And so you're in sort of a negative lift area when you get in a position like this. Not Ensenada's not, Rosarito Beach is not. San Miguel is not, but most of Southern California is. So those are your scattered showers. This is through Wednesday morning. So it stays unsettled. So that low is just going to linger. So everybody else in California, you're fine. Southern California, you're going to hear scattered showers in your forecast for the next 24 hours. And then a break on Thursday. And then here comes a very similar system. And it's the dynamics, it stays out over the water a little more and kind of does the same kind of underbelly thing, right? Kind of drops lower. So the takeaway is, let's look at the fantasy land stuff. So the takeaway is that low is going to pester us for a while. Well, that's a good ridge. That low is going to pester us for a while. And then it's out of here by, wow. Southern California weekend looks a little squirrely this coming up, but I'm just looking at the way out. There's a bit of a ridge. There's that trough looks like full-on frontal system. So that's November 29th, so after Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving, my wife's going to want to know this. Thanksgiving looks a little squirrely because see that little zone? That's sort of a zonal flow. I basically just showed you nothing because the models there's too much going on, truthfully. There's too much going on. I'm not buying any of it. So let's go up a little more granular. This is the GFS. This is this morning, right now. And then you see the showers move down through Southern California. Looks like just scattered stuff out into Nevada. So now we're into Wednesday. So Tuesday is just sort of a clearing out day, and we get into Wednesday. Here we are into Thursday morning. So Wednesday's a break day. Here comes a front. Why do I know it's a front? See the dashed lines, how close together they are? That's the thicknesses dropping down. Thicknesses drop, that means colder air is coming in, and typically that's a front, and then it follows. It mimics, remember that upper level pattern we looked at? It mimics that. And it does tend to keep most of the moisture sort of offshore. I mean, it's a rain day in Southern California, but it's not crazy. So let's get more granular than that. Let's go to the North American. This is more precise. This is Monday this afternoon. Okay, right, so nothing big. This is Tuesday morning. Got to have a scattered shower in for San Diego. And then dry for Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday. Wednesday looks dry, and then here comes that front. And that's Thursday morning. And it's got, so, Wednesday night, Thursday. This is HRRR. First thing I'm going to tell you or take away is you're going to be hearing scattered shower, chance of showers. That this whole week is unsettled. And that's kind of what I'm showing here in terms, because a lot can change with this, especially since those lows are tending to droop and have the potential to cut off and lose contact with the main flow, and then they're lingering, and then it's a wild card. So here's HRRR. This is right now, which verifies with the radar. And through this afternoon and into tonight, right? I wish I had something more for you there. It's really difficult to pinpoint this moisture, mainly because of those lows. They're digging so deep. I mean, they're digging really deep. They're down the latitude of Southern California, and they're backing away and then coming in underneath. I think that changes. I think with the next couple model runs, we'll get a better idea. This is the rainfall accumulation. So this is right now, and this is through today. So, right, we can manage that. This is, right, so San Francisco, quarter inch, San Luis Obispo, a half an inch, southern Malibu, maybe an inch. This is through this afternoon, and then the mountains are getting their snow right there. So these are accumulations. That's going to keep adding on, and you're going to see it kind of loads up a little, but still find your zone. I mean, this is through tomorrow afternoon, still manageable. really manageable. Mountains look like they're doing pretty good up around Mammoth. Mammoth's going to get some snow, right? And then this is through November 25th, first. And then you see LA's next opportunity for real activity is November 21st. And again, this is, now we're into fantasy land, but that would be not around December. Okay, and then this is how it looks on the big picture. There's today. You see where the systems are coming from, spreading from the north. Okay. Yeah. It's funny. I can't. It's hard to pin anything down. I'm keeping an umbrella in the car. Looks like Wednesday's going to be okay. If you're in Southern California, you're dodging raindrops, and the sun's going to come out and it's going to be nice, but you're dodging raindrops. The mountains are going to have snow flurries and scattered snow showers really right through the week, on and off. And like I said, they're chaining up there now, but none of this is high-grade stuff. It's just a very unsettled pattern, which will develop more precisely and congeal, if you will, as we get into the next few days. Maybe even this afternoon. Maybe the new model runs will come up with a better plan. Here's the national map. Here is this map that shows kind of where we're supposed to be for temperatures. Okay, kind of near normal for rainfall. That's a good sign. Above normal down here. So there, you know what that is? Yeah, think about what that is. That's what we were looking at. Remember, I was saying these lows are drifting, and instead of coming in from here and then working their way south, and then out over the ridge, they're coming in underneath us, and this is the right front quadrant of the trough, right? I may have drawn that. So this is the upper level jet stream. Right front quadrant of the trough is right here, upper air trough, and that's why they're above. That's essentially what the model is picking up on. And that's why we're confused, because it's not, all that water is being shifted away from California and shifted out into Texas. If that's what happens. Earthquakes, they happen all the time. Get used to it. Even if you just moved out here, man. Even if you just moved out here. And I was in the big quake in San Francisco. My grandpa was in the '06 quake. I've been in a bunch. They're scary, but they're more sensational than anything, especially since we've changed the infrastructure and the way we build. So it's not like the Bay Bridge. I used to have geology professors at Cal that would not drive on, two of them, and specifically, and they go, I will not drive on the Bay Bridge on-ramp. That old on-ramp that went from Emeryville up onto the, I guess back then it was a, what do you call it? It wasn't a suspension span. It was a trestle span or whatever. They knew it was built in the mud. It wasn't anchored. I remember going, God, that's terrifying. It didn't come down in '89. But I remember thinking, Jesus, God, these renowned PhD dudes are like, we're not going to drive on that bridge. I'm like, and they were, I get what, they probably had to, but I think their sphincters were tight every time they had to. But we've changed a lot of infrastructure stuff. Swell gets big on Friday. Back up. It's not that big right now. And then this is the jetty, unsettled, windy. It's windy out there right now, especially along the coast. Trying to pick out something here. Looks like the tide's pretty high. And then this is Halama at the point, and that's where the rain's been coming down, just on the other side of that point. Halama's been getting a bunch of rain too. Anytime you see rain, anytime you see water, that could be a high tide, but I think it's water coming out of that off the hill there from behind. But I can't make that call. Sorry. I tried to I thought there's a little river mouth there, and I thought it might have been coming in, but I don't think that's it. And then this is Pacifica, one of my new favorite cameras, just because it's so clean. And one of the things that's interesting about these windy days like this, where is it? I just saw some birds. See the birds? So what's interesting about, and I learned this, now I could be wrong, I'm not a bird guy, I pay attention to birds a lot. But you see them fly, you ever notice how you see them flying a lot when it's really windy? Like flying. Or sitting. I guess those guys are sitting there, aren't they? But the flying bird thing is, the bigger ones especially, it's a whole lot easier for them to fly. When it's howling wind, than it is to sit there like a pelican. Right? They're just like, Jesus, right? They're getting blown around if they're pivoted, if they're centered on a their weight centered and they're standing up. But if they fly, they become aerodynamic and they just float and they expend very little energy. It's easier than sitting. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I've heard that from several sources. And then these guys are all just they're out of the wind because the wind's doing this. It's hitting this and going up over it and then coming deck down. It's refracting. It's a barrier effect. This is what we do in baseball stadiums. When the wind hits that seawall, it goes up and then it comes back down over here. And these guys are right in that little zone. There's boundary effect, barrier effect. And the air bounces too. We talked about that with the lee clouds. Okay, back to the mountains. I hope I don't jam up. I had a jam up earlier today. Probably get jammed up now. Oh, there we go. Look at us. Okay, Palisades, 28 degrees right now. That is not a lot of snow. Now, the people who got the snow, that's heavenly, man. Or not heavenly, Northstar. 9 inches of snow. And this is higher than Northstar, but I'm thinking maybe the cooler air, I'm not sure. I think some of the cooler air must have bled down the canyons into the Northstar Valley, and then it was just cooler on the backside of the hill, so they had snow lower sooner. Just guessing right now. And then this is Palisades as well. And they're going to be skiing. They're going to be skiing pretty soon. This is heavenly. This is the one I had trouble with, but I love this camera. 28 degrees and snowing. It's snowing hard too, right? So that, like, think about the Palisades shot and think about these guys even have more snow, or it looks like it, especially when you see it stacking up in the trees. Mammoth Mountain, they are going to be the beneficiaries or the benefactors of a ton of snow. Okay, I almost did it. That one's not working for me, so I'm not going to do it. This is that camera I really want you to explore. This is, go to YouTube. And by the way, if you're not, this just changed over. Now we're in Western Cape, South Africa, right? How awesome is this? And it will pop around. This is on YouTube. So you go to YouTube. Old people like me, YouTube is a thing. I mean, not what I'm doing is on YouTube, but YouTube's a thing in terms of this. You can get, I pay for Surfline to get all the forecast models. Surfline just throws this up. You just stick this up on your big screen and you're having your dinner party or whatever. Everybody's stoked, man. It's just like, and it's not annoying. It's not like the pictures are clean. They don't, very rare, once in a while you'll get one that's not right, but it's pretty freaking awesome. And again, this is Lalanandaduno. This is Dreamland, Bali, Indonesia. I mean, look at these shots. And it is free. It's free. Right. Okay. And then this is Venice Beach. They got a break today. Those guys didn't know what to do yesterday. Everybody was confused with the rain. I showed it to you yesterday, and dudes you can't really skate. Skating and stuff like that, the wheels, the bearings and the wheels get, like my kid would tell you, just don't skate in the rain, man. You could, but don't. And now you can skate. And then there's a lot going on over there with those kids. Nice day. It's windy down there, though, down up around Malibu. This poor guy's having some kind of a problem. Okay, listen, you have a great day. I kind of a little squirrely today, and I think a little of the squirreliness stems from that forecast, that low dropping low like that coming underneath. Not sure what to do with it, and so I'm not. It's going to happen along the way we laid it out, but just go 24 by 24. More scattered showers today. Tomorrow's kind of a break day, and then we start to load up again Wednesday, Thursday. Could have done that. That took me 28 minutes to say, and I could have just said it right off the top. Okay, good talking to you.